Today our discussion topic is antibody structure. Now this is one of the video lecture of immunology series. Now the first point I will be asking you, that is, what do you mean by antibody? Antibodies are proteins. Okay, antibodies are proteins. Okay, they are actually proteinaceous in nature. Okay, now what is the basic difference between antibody and antigen? Understand this very basic difference. Now listen, we will be talking about great details about with respect to antigen, antibody, everything. Okay, even we will be talking about cancer immunology, don't worry. But before that, we should clear the basics. Now antibody means it is always a protein. Actually it's a fraction of a protein, okay, which is called immunoglobulin. Okay, now okay, it's an immunoglobulin. Now listen, when we are talking about antigen, the first thing you will have to understand is this. Antigen, what is the basic difference between this antigen and antibody is this, that antibody is always a protein. Clear? Antibodies are always a protein. Always a protein. Clear? But antigen, what is the basic difference between this antigen and antibody? The basic difference and the most important difference that you should understand is this, that an antigen can be carbohydrate in nature. Now, how can we establish this fact that a carbohydrate can be, an antigen? Now listen, there is a protein in our body which is produced by liver, that is called MBL. Okay, mannose binding lectins. Okay, mannose binding lectins, there is a protein which is produced by the liver. Okay, it is produced by the liver. Okay, it comes from liver. Clear? It comes from liver. Okay, mannose binding lectins comes from liver. Now listen with all your attention. This mannose binding lectin, this mannose is actually a carbohydrate. That means those organisms which have this mannose characteristics, or those organisms which have this mannose in them, they will be attacked by this mannose binding lectin. And what is this? This is one of the this is one of the pathway for complement system. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But the first point you need to understand is this, that this mannose binding lectin actually interacts with a protein. This mannose binding lectin interacts with a protein which is actually nothing but a carbohydrate. So it can be rightly said that an antigen can be a carbohydrate. Okay, now an antigen can be even a fat molecule, fat or lipid. Okay, there are many evidences of that too. Clear? There are many evidences of that too, that an antigen can be a fat or lipid molecule. Okay, right? Why do you think that a fat or a lipid molecule can be an essential or effective antigen? Now, if you don't understand, or if you cannot answer this question, that how can a fat molecule or lipid molecule can be an antigen, then probably you don't know the meaning of a word, that is lipid A. Do you know what is lipid A? Lipid A is a component of bacterial cell wall. It's a component of bacteria. We'll talk about that in details, don't worry. Okay, it's a component of bacterial cell wall. It's a component of bacterial cell wall. Now listen with all your attention. Lipidae is a component of bacterial cell wall. The first thing you need to understand here is this, that whenever we are talking about lipidae is a very dangerous molecule. Why, you know? Because lipidae is one of the best reason for, you know, ICU deaths, okay? Intensive care unit deaths, okay? You know, there is something called endotoxic shock. Now, in most of the cases, not in all cases, in most of the cases, endotoxic shock occurs due to, you know, this lipidae component of bacterial cell wall. Clear? Okay. So, an antigen can be a carbohydrate, fat or a lipid, or, you know, a protein, the master of them all. Clear? In 90% of the cases, an antigen is a protein. Clear? But not in all cases. Clear? Okay. Now, important points. So this is the, you know, basic, you know, chemical composition wise difference between, you know, antigen and antibody. An antibody is always a protein, but an antigen can be a protein, carbohydrate or lipid even. Okay. Clear? Now, so this is the, you know, basic thing, but we will be talking about in great details what is an antibody today. Okay. What is the antibody? You know, all these things. Now, first, I would like to ask a question, okay? First, I would like to ask a question that, okay? So, if I ask you where antibodies are found, that means I am asking about the cellular, you know, site for antibodies. Now, listen with all your attention. Why I am talking about cellular site? Now, listen. The first point you need to understand is this. Suppose this is antibody, okay? Okay, clear? Now, okay, let me draw it in a proper way because it should be respected. This antibody should be respected, okay? Now, listen with all your attention. Suppose so this is suppose your antibody. Now, listen. So, what are the sites of your antibodies, okay? Now, listen. Site. So, if I talk about site of production of antibodies, now listen, what is the cellular site? Or let me tell about the cellular site first. Cellular site, okay, where antibodies are present. Now listen, if I talk about the cellular site, if you talk about, you know, cellular site, the first thing we need to understand is this, that the cellular site for antibodies are B cells, okay? They are B cells. Suppose this is your B cell, okay? Now, the first point we need to understand here is this, that where is your, you know, antibodies. Now, listen. Actually, there are two types of antibodies which are produced. Now, listen. Suppose this is your circulatory system, okay? Suppose this is your circulatory system, okay? Now, listen. B cells, these B cells produces antibodies, okay? This B cells produces antibodies which are both secreted by this cell into the circulatory system as well as which are kept on the surface of these B cells, okay? Now, there are two types of, you know, antibodies which are present on either, you know, the cell surface, okay? Either on the cell surface or on which are to be secreted into the circulatory system, okay? Now, the first point we need to understand here is this. Suppose this is an antibody, okay? Suppose this is an antibody. Suppose this is an antibody, okay? Suppose this is an antibody which is about to be secreted from this particular cell. Then, now listen. Then the structure of this antibody will be different. Now listen with all your attention. If this antibody is about to get secreted from this particular B cell, then you must understand that the structure of this antibody will be different. Structure of this antibody will be different. But suppose there is another, you know, there is another antibody which is about, you know, which will not be secreted, okay? Which will not be secreted. Now, that antibody which will never be secreted, rather they will be decorated on the, you know, cell surface. They will be, you know, decorated they will be decorated on the cell surface of they will be decorated on the cell surface of B cell, then you must understand the structure of this particular antibody will be different with respect to this antibody. That means the structure of antibody varies. The structure of antibody varies depending on whether it will be secreted from the cell or whether it will be decorated on the cell surface of what? B cells. Clear? Now listen with all your attention. Those B cells which actually produce and secrete antibodies, they are called what? These antibodies actually are the transformed version of B cells, which are called what? They are known by the name of what? Plasma cells, right? They are called plasma cells, okay? They are known by the name of plasma cells, okay? That means those antibodies which are secreted by plasma cells, they have a different structure with respect to those antibodies which are decorated on the surface of the B cells. Clear? Am I clear to everyone? Now, if I ask you a very, very important question, okay? Suppose a man weighs 70 kgs, okay? Suppose a man weighs 70 kgs, okay? Suppose a man weighs 70 kgs. Now, if I tell you that what is the average, quantity of antibody produced by this man, the average amount of antibody produced by this 70 kg man will be around, what? It will be shocking. It will be around, 0.3 grams. Clear? 0.3 grams. Very, very important. Clear? The amount of antibody produced by this particular person will be 0.3 grams. Now listen. Now there are 5 types of Ig or immunoglobulins or antibodies, right? IgG, IgM, everything. I will talk about that later. Don't worry. Now among those 5, the first thing you need to understand is this: 2/3 of this 2.3 grams, 2/3 is taken by IgA. 2/3 is taken by IgA. That means 2/3 of this 0.3 gram will be taken by IgA. Now listen, IgA is present in body secretions, right? IgA is present in body secretion. Don't worry, we will talk about every antibody in details. Don't worry. Clear? They are present in body secretions, right? IgA is present in body secretions. Okay? So that means 2/3 of this 0.3 gram is actually, used in our body secretions, okay? Like sweating and all other GI tract secretions and all these things. That means they contain IgA, okay? This is one of the part of innate immunity. Clear? Okay? Now, can you answer me another tricky question? Why antibodies are also known by the name of immunoglobulins? Can you answer this tricky one? Why antibodies are also known by the name of immunoglobulins? First thing we need to understand here is this, that why these antibodies are also known by the name of immunoglobulins. Now listen with all your attention. Why this alternative name? Okay? Now listen. So, okay, I will have to, say plasma plus B cell surface, right? B cell. Okay, now if I tell you now that why, or why antibodies are also called, why antibodies are also called are also called immunoglobulins, right? If I ask you this question, your answer will be, let us discuss this answer. Now listen, if I want to discuss this second answer, so this is the first question, this is the second question, this is the first question, and this is the second question. Now if I try to answer this second question, the first thing we need to understand is this, that you will have to know what is electrophoresis of plasma proteins. Okay, now if you don't know what is electrophoresis of plasma proteins, then I will recommend you to watch a video where I have discussed in details how can we do that. Now before I start this discussion, electrophoresis of plasma protein, before I start this discussion, you must understand that Latin, why Latin is an official language of every scientific papers and all these things. In most of the cases, we use Latin words, we use Latin ABCD, right? Now Latin 1 2 3, why? Because Latin is not an official language of any country. Okay, that's why we use it. Now listen with all your attention. Why I have told this, I will explain it later. Now listen, suppose if we have managed now listen with all your attention. Suppose these are wells. Okay, now listen with all your attention possible on this earth. Suppose this is our lid. Okay, this is our lid. Okay, now listen, suppose this is our connection. Suppose this is and I'm drawing this connection with different color because so that you can understand. Okay, clear? Now listen, so this particular position, this particular electrode which is connected to the positive pole of the positive side of the battery, this is the positive side, this is negative side, right? This will be positive, right? And this will be what? Negative. So now when we try to perform electrophoresis experiments on protein, we apply what? SDS or sodium dodecyl sulfate, or which is also known by the name of SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. Now listen, what is actually happening is this: when sodium dodecyl sulfate or sodium lauryl sulfate is applied on a protein, then it takes an uniform negative charge. Okay, it takes an uniform negative charge. Now the first point you need to understand is this. Now, that means whenever you are treating a particular protein with SDS, that means the protein loses its own individual charge and acquires a uniform negative charge. Okay, that means suppose if I am loading the proteins here, the first point we need to understand is this, that so these wells are now coated with what? Loaded with, not coated, loaded with what? Proteins. Now these proteins are negatively charged. That means they will repel this negative electron. They will be repelled by this negative electron, right? That means now they will move toward the positive side. Okay, they will move towards the what? Positive side. They will now move towards the positive side, right? They will now the proteins will now move towards the positive side. Now important point we need to understand is this, that whenever we try to perform these experiments, we get different types of, suppose this is lane. To distinguish the lanes, I am drawing this, okay. So these are the 4 lanes. Now listen with all your attention. Okay. Suppose this is, this is the protein band, okay. This is the protein band. Suppose this is another protein band. This is another protein band. This is suppose another protein band. Here is another protein band, okay. Now listen with all your attention. What I am trying to, establish or, write or, try to make you understand is this, that these are the protein bands, okay. Now in your books you will get diagrams like this, okay. When you electrophorese protein, then you will get diagrams like this. You know what is this? This is nothing but the concentration of these proteins, that's it. That means, now listen, if I tell you that suppose this is lane A, this is lane B, this is lane C in lane D and lane D. Now listen, if I tell you or if I ask you that the heaviest protein is present in which lane, if I ask you that the heaviest protein is present in which lane, that means the protein having the most molecular weight is present in which lane? Your answer will be B. Your answer will be B lane. Why? Because this protein has actually covered a small distance. That means heavier the protein, less distance will be covered, we already know, right? Now listen, in which lane the smallest protein is present? Now listen, in lane C, because it has covered the most, it has covered the, the longest distance. Now the very important point we need to understand here is this, that the first protein which is actually covered less distance, this is called albumin. This is called albumin. This is actually albumin. This is albumin. Clear? This is your albumin. Now a very important point, what are these dots? Okay, this is full of dots like you people, okay, thank God. Now listen, these dots are what? These dots are the first dot is actually alpha 1 globulin. Alpha 1 globulin. Why it is designated as alpha 1 globulin? What is from where does alpha and beta and gamma globulins come from? Now listen. Actually, if you omit this, now listen with all your attention. If you want to really learn the concept, the first thing we need to understand is this. We will have to clear the concept of Latin words or Latin phrases. Now listen, what is this? This is alpha 2 globulin. Okay, alpha 2 globulin. Now what is this? What does this lane actually carrying? This lane is carrying what? This lane is carrying what? Beta globulin. Okay, now listen with all your attention. What this lane is carrying? The third lane. This third lane is carrying gamma globulin. Third lane is carrying gamma globulin. Okay, this third lane is carrying gamma globulin. Now listen with all your attention. A very important point you need to understand here is this, that now from where does this alpha, beta, gamma globulin comes from? Now listen, if you omit this alpha 1, alpha 2, so this is what? Alpha, this is alpha, this is beta, this is gamma, right? Now listen, in Latin, okay, in Latin, alpha means 1. So this is the first globulin band we are getting, that's why it is alpha. Clear? In Latin, 1, 2, 3 stands for alpha, beta, gamma. That means the first globulin band which we are getting is alpha. Now this alpha has been subdivided into two categories, alpha 1 and alpha 2. Clear? Now, the third band we are getting, which is of globulin, sorry, the second band we are getting is beta. Why? In Latin, the two, the word, oh, sorry, the in Latin, 2 means beta. That's why beta globulin. Okay. Now, what is gamma globulin? Gamma globulin is the third globulin band we are getting. That's why gamma globulin. Clear? Clear? Okay. So that's why. Now listen. Now you must know that this gamma globulin has immense importance in our, gamma globulin has immense importance in our immunology class. Why? Because these gamma globulins actually give rise to, our what? These gamma globulins actually give rise to antibodies. They give rise to antibodies. They actually give rise to antibodies. Therefore, this gamma globulin is very important for us. Clear? This gamma globulin, that's why it's very important, because they are associated with our immunity. So, as this gamma globulin helps in antibody and antibody helps in immunity building, therefore, antibodies are also known by the name of immunoglobulins. They are also known by the name of immunoglobulins or IGs. Okay? Immunoglobulins. Okay? That's why they are known by the name of immunoglobulins. Clear? All right. So now we are going to talk about the proper structure of antibody. Okay? Okay? We are going to talk about antibody structure. Now listen. The first thing we need to understand is this: antibody is actually a tetramer. Now listen. First of all, the first point we need to understand is this: that antibody is a what? Antibody is a tetramer. Okay? It's a tetramer. Okay? That means it has got how many proteins? 4 proteins, right? It has got 4 proteins, right? Now the first thing we need to understand is this: that out of these 4 proteins, 2 proteins have similar structure and function, and other 2 proteins have similar structure and function. Now listen, these 2 proteins constitutes light chain of antibodies, and these 2 proteins constitutes the heavy chain of antibodies. Okay? Now listen, we'll talk about in great details. Don't worry about this today. Okay? So antibodies are actually tetramers. Okay? And these tetramers are actually then made up of 4 protein molecules, right? Now listen, out of these 4 proteins, there are 2, there is a division. Okay? There is a division. Okay? Now, out of these 4 proteins, 2 proteins makes up the light chain. That means there are 2 light chains in it, there are 2 light chains and there are 2 heavy chains. Okay? So there are 2 light chains and there are 2 heavy chains. Now understand this very carefully, that these 2 light chains are very, very important, as well as these heavy chains are also important. Why? Because these 2 light chains and heavy chains have actually, different functions. Now listen with all your attention. A very important part you need to understand is this. Suppose if I tell you that what is the function of light chain. Now listen, the most important thing you need to understand is this: the function of light chain is, now listen with all your attention, function of light chain. Okay? If I tell you what is the function of light chain. Okay? Now if I tell you this, what is the function, or if I ask you what is the function of light chains, okay, of antibodies, your answer will be antigen recognition. Antigen recognition and binding. Okay? So your answer will be antigen recognition and binding, okay? But if I ask you that what is the, function of heavy chain, then your answer will be long. Why? Now listen with all your attention. If I tell you what is the function of heavy chain, the first point you need to understand is this, that there are two functions. So there was one function of light chain, but there are two functions of light chain. Now listen with all your attention. The first one is light chain helps in, antigen binding and recognition. So the first, the first function of heavy chain, so the first function of heavy chain is similar, so the first function of heavy chain is similar to that of the light chain. Now the second, answer, the second answer is really interesting. You know what is that? Heavy chain is used in effector response. Effector response is used in effector response, okay? Is used in effector response. So very important point you need to understand here. That means, so there are two functions of heavy chain and one function of light chain. That is the sole and whole function of light chain is antigen recognition and binding. But the function of heavy chain is antigen binding and recognition, obviously, which is actually, the most important function of light chain also. But there is another function, that is the heavy chain is used in effector response, okay? Now what is effector response? We'll talk about that later, okay? Now one of the most important, effector response is opsonization. We'll talk about that later, don't worry. One of the most important effector response is opsonization. We'll talk about that, in details when we'll be talking about, immunity part, okay? So these are the, proteins. Now listen with all your attention. When we are talking about light chain, heavy chain and all these things, now very important point you need to understand is this, that what is the weight of these proteins? Now listen. The weight of light chains, now listen with all your attention. The weight of light chains of antibodies are around 24 kilodalton, okay? But the weight of heavy chain is around 50 to 75 kilodalton, okay? 50 to 75 kilodalton. Clear? That means, what is the weight of, light chain? 24 kilodalton. And what is the weight of this heavy chain? 50 to 75 kilodalton, okay? Okay? We are now going to the details of antibody structure. Now listen. If I, try to draw antibody, you must understand that I am actually not a biochemist, okay? I will draw as simple way an antibody can be represented, okay? But I will actually give you all the necessary information which you should keep in mind while you are drawing a perfect, antibody molecule. Now listen. So when we are talking about antibody, the first thing you should understand always, that is, there are two types of antibodies, right? One which is attached with the B cell membrane and one which is secreted from the B cell membrane when it has actually evolved, like Pokemons, okay? That is when it has become plasma cell, right? Now listen, the structure of those antibodies which are present or decorated on the cell membrane of B cells, they are different. And the structure of antibodies which are present in the plasma, their structure is different, okay? Now listen with all your attention. At first, we'll draw the structure of those antibodies which is, present in the plasma. That means we will draw the structure of those antibodies which are actually secreted by B cells. Then here we will draw the structure of those antibodies which are actually present on the cell surface membrane. Okay. Now listen with all your attention. So this is actually the basic structure of antibody. Now listen, actually the structure of antibody, the study of structure of antibody was actually very tough. Why? Because of two facts. The study of antibody was actually very important, but it was really tough in those days. Why? Because if we try to separate antibodies, then those antibodies have different kinds of structure, because those antibodies were not specifically made against a particular epitope or a particular antigen. Okay, but a very important point you need to understand is this, that with the discovery of a special type of cancer which is called myeloma, we were able to identify as well as extract antibodies which are unique to particular type of cancerous cells, and therefore study of those antibodies actually yielded the structure of this normal antibodies. And now we already know how to make antibodies, right? Now we already know how to make antibodies using what? Monoclonal antibody procedure. That's it. Okay. Now listen with all your attention. This is one of the basic structure of antibody. Okay. Now listen. Every protein, suppose this is a protein, every protein has an N terminal and a C terminal. Now, first question. Many people know many things. I don't want to know whatever you know, but first answer me that which one is the N terminal, whether this is the N terminal or this is the N terminal. Tell me. Suppose this is a polypeptide, okay? This is a polypeptide, right? Tell me. Listen, the heavy chain looks like this, okay? Now listen, your heavy chain looks like this, okay? Now tell me, which one is the N terminal? Is this the N terminal or this is the N terminal? Tell me. Now listen with all your attention. If you don't know the answer, listen. this one is actually your N terminal, okay, and this one is your C terminal. Again, in this case, this is C terminal and this is what? N terminal. Okay, again here it is N terminal and this is C terminal. Okay, so this is your C terminal and this is your N terminal. So actually what I mean is this, that means in an antibody molecule, the first thing you need to understand is this, that which one is the C terminal, which is the N terminal. Okay, now listen with all your attention. Why it is important, you know? Because now listen, because listen, these blue shaded regions, these blue shaded lines, actually these represents these blue shaded lines represents these blue shaded lines represent light chains. Okay, this blue shaded line represents light chains. Okay, and these black lines represents heavy chains. Okay, represents, so these are light chains and this is heavy chain. Now listen with all your attention. This region is called variable region. This region is called variable region. Okay, and now listen with all your attention possible. This whole region, apart from this variable region, this whole region is called constant region. Represents constant region. This variable region is actually made up of variable region is made up of two, or in this case one light chain. Okay, one light chain and one heavy chain. So this variable region is made up of one light chain and one heavy chain. Now in this case, in here, this variable region is also made up of one light chain and one heavy chain. That means there are two variable regions. Now listen with all your attention. There are two variable regions in an antibody molecule. Now listen. So this is your important point which you should understand. Two variable regions are present in an antibody molecule. Okay, there are two variable regions present in an antibody molecule. Okay, there are two variable regions present in an antibody molecule. Now listen with all your attention. So there are two variable regions. Now listen, another important point, this is a kind of notice board for you. Okay, so let me draw a notice board in a good way. Okay, now listen, another important point we need to understand is this: variable regions are present near the N terminals, are present near the N terminals. This is another important. So another important point. So this is important point number 1 and this is important point number 2. Okay. Now a very important point. Variable regions actually are the areas where antigen bind. Okay. Antigens binds to variable region VR. Okay. So this is a third important point for you to understand. Okay. Okay. Bind to variable regions. Clear? They bind to variable region. Now a very important point you need to understand here is this. So now listen. Suppose this is your suppose this is your antibody. Okay, let me tell you here only. Suppose this is your antibody. Okay, clear? This is your antibody. Now tell me that how an antigen will bind. How an antigen will bind. Now listen, I am giving you 3 options. Okay, suppose if I tell you that an antigen will bind like this. Okay, suppose this is your okay, let me draw here. Suppose this is your antigen, sorry, this is your antibody. Okay, and if I tell you antigen will bind like this. Okay, antigen will bind like this, in this manner. Suppose antigens will bind like this. Clear? Am I right? Or if I give you another option that antigen will bind like this. Which one? A or B? Which one is correct? Whether antibody and antigen interacts in this fashion or in this fashion. Now listen with all your attention. If you think A is correct, then you are wrong. Actually, antigen binds with this region or this region, variable region of your antibody. That means what? One antibody can interact with 2 antigens. Okay, now listen with all your attention. One antibody can interact with 2 antigens at a time. Okay, we'll talk about that. This is called valency. Okay, how many number of antigen a particular antibody can react to, that is called its valency. So in natural cases, all the antibodies are what? Having a valency of 2. Clear? Why this is not the right fashion? Now, if you don't understand this very basic thing, now listen. If you can just concentrate on this portion, what is the advantage here? You can actually target 2 antigens at a time. You can actually target 2 antigens at a time. That means what? The efficiency of antibody molecule increases. Okay, now this is very, very important. Okay, why? Because This is one of the basis of Octal-Erni double diffusion. Okay, this is one of the basis of Octal-Erni double diffusion. So now we know that. Now listen with all your attention again. Now the interaction with heavy chain and light chain. Now listen, the heavy chains and light chains are united by sulfide bond or disulfide bonds. Okay. Now listen, all the red colored areas are actually disulfide bonds. These are what? These are what? These are disulfide bonds. Okay. Now listen, this is a disulfide bond. This disulfide bond actually unites two heavy chains, right? This portion, this disulfide bond unites two heavy chains, but this disulfide bond unites heavy and light chain, one heavy chain with another light chain. Okay, this disulfide bond, what? It unites one light chain and one heavy chain. Okay, clear? Now listen with all your attention again. So you must understand this very basic thing. Now listen, the variable regions actually are the places where antibodies bind. Now listen, so what is the use of this constant region, right? Now listen with all your attention. These constant regions, you can see these bumps in the constant region of heavy and light chain. Now listen, every constant region have these bumps. Okay, these bumps. What is this? What are these bumps? Now listen with all your attention. These bumps are actually really important. These bumps are actually very important. Okay, actually these bumps are not only present in the not only present in the constant region but also in the variable region, right? So what are these bumps? Okay, these bumps are known by the name of Ig domains or immunoglobulin domains. Okay, these are called Ig domains. These are called Ig domains. Okay, these are called Ig domains. Now listen, what is this Ig domains? Now listen with all your attention. This Ig domain is a special type of protein folding. That's it. It's a special type of protein folding. But this type of protein folding are only present in those proteins which are directly or indirectly associated with immunity. That's why they are known by the name of Ig domains. Ig stands for immunoglobulin, you are right. Okay, that means these domains are only present. Now listen with all your attention. These domains are only present in those proteins which are, now listen with all your attention. These domains are only present in those proteins which are associated directly or indirectly with immunity. Now listen, what are those proteins which have direct connection with immunity? What are those proteins? Immunoglobulins or antibodies. Every antibody have got these every antibody has got these Ig domains. Okay, now what are the proteins which are indirectly associated with immunity? Cell adhesion molecules. You know what is RAM model? Rolling adhesion and multiplication and diapetesis. You know what is RAM model? RAM model is actually a mechanism by which neutrophils and macrophage leave the blood vessel and come into tissue space. Okay, now in this RAM model, cell adhesion molecule actually plays a very important role. We'll talk about that later, don't worry. Okay, so the question is this, that means these Ig domains are present in proteins which are directly So Ig domains are present in proteins which are, now here is a trick we would like to apply, which are directly now what are those proteins which are directly associated with immunity? Immunoglobulins. Or indirectly, what are those proteins which are associated with immunity indirectly? Cell adhesion molecules, CAMs, VCAM, ICAM, okay, which are directly or indirectly associated with immunity. Clear? Which are directly or indirectly associated with immunity. Okay. Now, what is the basic structure of these domains? Now listen, why you need to understand this? Okay, because you are using bioinformatics daily. That's it. That's the easiest way. Okay. Now listen with all your attention. Now, important question and important quiz time here. Can you name one protein which is not at all associated with immunity but has Ig domain? There is only one protein which has nothing to do with immunity but it has Ig domain. There is a protein called IZUMO1, okay? IZUMO1. These protein is present in sperms. They act as sperm receptors. Okay, these proteins are present in sperms. They act as sperm receptors. Okay, for attachment with the oocytes. These proteins have nothing to do with immunity. They are associated with reproduction, right? But they have what? Ig domains. Okay, learn this exception and remember this exception well. We'll talk about IZUMO in details when we will be talking about reproduction. Okay, now how to draw an Ig domain? Okay, Ig domain structure. Now, if you want to really learn what is Ig domain and how it looks like, the first thing you need to understand is this, that Ig domain is a part of a protein. Ig domain is a part of a protein. Now listen with all your attention. This domain exclusively contains only beta pleated sheet. Now listen with all your attention. What are the characteristics of this Ig domain? What are the characteristics of this Ig domain? Listen with all your attention. Exclusively made of beta pleated sheet, not SHIT. It's not your brain I am talking about, okay? Clear? Exclusively made up of beta pleated sheet. Now listen with all your attention. What is the basic structure of this? Now listen. This Ig domain is called beta pleated. It is sometimes called beta pleated, burger. It is also known as beta pleated burgers. Why? If I draw the structure, you will understand why it is called beta pleated burgers. Okay. Now, before I start drawing this Ig domain, a very important mnemonic you should understand. Okay. A big. Okay. Let me use another color so that you can remember it well. Okay. A big elephant. A big elephant destroyed cars, field and garages. Okay, this is the mnemonic you should remember. Okay, if you want to draw any IG domain, okay, that means a big elephant destroyed cars, field and garages. Okay, now take the first alphabet from each and every word. Now why I am telling this is very important. That means how many beta pleated sheets are there in this domain. Now listen, there are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So in this domain there are 7 beta pleated sheets are there. So in this domain there are 7 beta pleated sheets. Now listen, how to draw a beta pleated sheet is very important. Draw with me so that you can understand. Okay. I am drawing this so that everything becomes normal after I draw. Everything looks normal at least. What is? So suppose this is the distinct N part, N terminal. So this is the N terminal and this is the C terminal, right? Now listen with all your, I have drawn this part only, okay? I have drawn only this loop, okay? So this is the structure of the loop. Now listen with all your attention possible on this earth, okay? Oh, sorry. Listen. So what you will have to do is this, you will have to tie this with the end, okay? That's it. C terminal and here it is N terminal, right? C terminal and N terminal, okay? Now, why I have told you to remember this, instructed you to remember this particular mnemonic, right? Now listen with all your attention. This is actually, the A part or A, sheet. This is actually the B sheet, okay? Now listen with all your attention, okay. This is actually E sheet, okay. This is D, this is C, this is F and this is G. Now listen with all your attention. I have drawn one mistake, okay. I have actually done one mistake, so I won't be confusing it, okay. I won't be again making this mistake. Now listen with all your attention. What you will have to do is this. Now listen, whenever there is something like this in protein chemistry, if you want to draw beta barrels or beta sheet, what you will have to do is this. You will have to connect this head with its tail. Okay? Clear? Now listen with all your attention. A very important point you need to understand here is this. Now, what you will have to do is this. You will have to connect A with B. Okay? Thank God, it's near to A. But you will have to connect B with C. So this thing will go here. That's the difference. Now you will have to connect C with D. So thank God it was here. Now you will have to connect D with E. Okay. Now we will have to connect E with F. E with F. Now we will have to connect F with G. Then everything is normal. So what is this? So can you actually look at this, look at a symmetric structure. Now why I was calling it a beta pleated burger? Why I was calling it a beta pleated burger? Why I was calling it a beta pleated burger? You should understand this right now. Okay? Now listen with all your attention. Because if burgers are made up of what? Now listen. Burgers are made up of 2 bread, right? And here, what is this? Here there is, your chicken piece or something like that, right? Now listen with all your attention. I don't know what type of burger is made up of chicken piece. Okay. Now listen, whatever be it. Now listen. In this case, in this structure, why they are called beta pleated burgers? Because why IG domains are called beta pleated burger? This is because of the fact that in this case, these are your, okay, now listen, these are your bread these are your bread, and this is the chicken piece. This is your chicken piece. Okay, this is your chicken piece. So this is your bread. So how actually I identified that these are my breads. How I identified that these are my breads? Now listen with all your attention. It's very important for you people to understand that in this case, in IG domains, the breads are actually oppositely directed beta pleated sheet. These are oppositely directed beta pleated sheet. Okay. Now listen with all your attention, and the most important point you need to understand is this, that in beta pleated burger, the oppositely directed but connected beta pleated sheets are actually the burgers. So the terminals have these oppositely directed beta pleated sheets which are connected, but in the middle there is haphazardness, and this haphazardness actually represents the chicken piece. Clear? So this is actually the structure of what? IG domains. Now do you think I am actually mad why I am teaching these in details? Now listen with all your attention. There are many proteins. Now listen with all your attention possible. There are many proteins which have these IG domains, and there are many diseases also which are associated with the mutation of these IG domains. Okay, clear? We'll talk about this in details, so don't worry. But at first, for this particular time being, you just understand that what are these IG domains. Okay, what are these IG domains and how they look like. Clear? Now listen, every protein which have these IG domains, every proteins having these IG domains are under a family called IG superfamily. They are Superman. Okay, every proteins who have this special IG domain structure, they fall under this particular superfamily, IG superfamily. Now one of the best protein which falls under this IG superfamily is immunoglobulin, VCAM or cell adhesion molecule, ICAM, and whatever it is. Now listen with all your attention. How many beta pleated structures are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Now listen with all your attention. There are two types of IG domains. Okay, one which is called IG domain 5 and IG domain V, sorry, and another called IG domain C. Now IG domain C have all the IG domain C have 7 beta pleated sheet, but IG domain V actually have 9 beta pleated sheet. Clear? So there are two types of IG domain structure. Okay, IG V and IG what? C. Now IgC have 7 beta pleated sheet and they have 9 beta pleated sheet. Okay, so what is this? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, how many? 7 beta pleated sheet, right? Therefore they fall under IgC. Am I clear?